Right, with Bonds at first base and 2 out in the first inning. All-Star game just underway at Cincinnati.
And Al, he's made himself such a better outfielder. It seems that he is much more mature, much more conscious at the plate of not trying to different stances. Last year it seemed like he had 101 different stances, one for every occasion.
It looks like he's more closed now than he was in the first 2 years when he came up. Rookie of the year in '86.
Chased it and the count 3-2.
Of course, we saw the inside pitch from Will Clark, and what he talked about was the 95-mile-per-hour fastball, but what he failed to say is you have to lay off the high fastball to be successful against Dwight Gooden. You see it well, but very difficult to hit. Great movement up in that zone.
Bonds goes on the 3-2 pitch, and it's popped in the air to right field. Strawberry is there. And the American League gone in the first. At the end of the half, the American League nothing, and the National League coming up.
The Clydesdales, the symbol of Budweiser quality, of Beechwood aging, the choicest natural ingredients, and a genuine commitment to freshness and taste. One beer lives up to all this. Budweiser.
On Friday, July 15th, brace yourself for an adventure that will blow you through the back wall of the theater. Die Hard, exclusive engagement in 70mm 6-track Dolby stereo, rated R.
Exclusive engagement begins this Friday in selected cities.
And back in Cincinnati for the All-Star game with Frank Viola on the mound for the American League, facing this National League lineup. Vince Coleman leading off, Ryan Sandberg hitting second. And then Andre Dawson hits third. Strawberry, the cleanup batter. Bonilla hitting fifth. Will Clark sixth. Gary Carter in the 7th spot. Ozzie Smith 8th. And Dwight Gooden batting 9th. And let's get the inside pitch on Frank Viola from the New York Yankees, Dave Winfield.
Frank Viola of the Twins, the top left-hander in the American League, not only in terms of numbers, but the players would agree also. Has a good move to first base, holds runners tight, works the corners, a good fastball. He can come inside or outside, good curve, and the pitch that'll get you out on is that changeup.
And back of Frank Viola defensively for the American League All-Stars. Canseco is normally a right fielder. He plays left. Henderson has been playing left. He moves to center. Winfield stays home in right. He's the senior member out there. Then in the infield, you've got Wade Boggs at third, Cal Ripken starting in place of Trammell at short. Paul Molitor now is a DH and has been a third baseman for years, but he was on the ballot at second, and there he is. And Mark McGuire plays first. Terry Steinbach does the catching. Frank Viola on the mound, and the switch hitting Vince Coleman of the St. Louis Cardinals to lead off. No score in the bottom of the first inning with Coleman, Sandberg, and Dawson. Vince, 275 average and 45 steals, swinging and missing, and the count is 0-1. So Whitey Herzog with his National League champions mired in 5th place, but still represented by 2 starters. And they also have McGee and Worrell here on the bench. Lifted to center. Ricky Henderson used to play there. Makes the catch. One away. And Ryan Sandberg will come up. If you're a pitcher and you dream about pitching in big games, and you thought about 3 games you could start, wouldn't you think about starting the first game of the World Series, the 7th game of the World Series, and the All-Star game 1, 2, 3? That's exactly what he's done over the past 9 months.
You'd also think about winning them. Now, he hasn't done that yet, but he did win the 1st and the 7th, and I think that was the big game in his career, because he said, used his changeup early, the Cardinals got hit, he went to his fastball and was successful.
Off speed to Sandberg for a strike.
He has 3 great pitches. And Dave Winfield talked about the changeup, but what sets up the changeup is his outstanding fastball and that big curveball you just saw.
Ooh, fooled him again, and the count 0-2.
And as you said, Timmy, when you don't get to see a guy like Viola, you really don't know what to look for. And they may not see him very often, maybe 2 times at the most.
This time a fastball is fouled away. Still 0-2.
Frank is the first pitcher to pitch to start an All-Star game from Minnesota since 1967 when Dean Chance, the right-hander, and the first Minnesota to a pitcher to appear in an All-Star game since 1973 when Bert Blyleven.
Still 0-2. Well, the Twins have been short shrifted for years, and there is Tom Kelly, the manager. He's brought his coaching staff here. He has 5 Twins, and he could have had a 6th, but Ken Herbeck said last year that he wasn't going to come because he wasn't selected last season. He felt he was slighted. And the Twins making a move again in the West, so they were short-circuited over the weekend by Milwaukee. 1-2 the count on Sandberg.
Well, that's one of the great luxuries as a starting manager. You get to start a guy that's 14-2, well-rested, pitched last Wednesday. So not his regular day, but very much close to it.
That's line foul. Out in front again, so it remains a ball and 2 strikes. The All-Star managers are so designated because their teams won the pennant in the prior season. And there's Whitey Herzog. The National League has only lost 3 games in the last 25 years, but Whitey's had the misfortune to manage the team on 2 of those occasions. 2-2.
And no National League managers ever lost 3 games in the All-Star game. So the heat's on Whitey.
Does he look worried? Doesn't
right.
he look concerned there?
2-2 the count. And Sandberg fights it off. So still 2-2. And on deck is Andre Dawson. So Cubs back-to-back, and there are 6 Cubs on the All-Star team.
You know, the amazing thing about starting an All-Star game is invariably it may be the most difficult lineup you will ever face. Certainly was in a lot of my games. At least I perceived it as such.
The good news is you only have to go around once.
That's right.
And down he goes. Viola working in and out, off speed, and an occasional fastball, and strikes him out looking. 2 gone.
Again, we talked about the changeup, but here's the fastball. Right where Terry Steinbach is sitting. And when you hit the glove, more chances or not, you get the pitch. Again, when you set it up, and as an umpire, when you see the pitcher moving in and out and the catcher moving in and out, you make it a lot easier for him.
So 2 gone, bases empty, and Andre Dawson, whose .308 average is the highest among National League starters. 1-0. It's interesting that Dawson would have the best average, and he's only 7th in the league in hitting. So the top 6 are either on the bench or not here. Andres Galarraga leads the league at .338. In there for a strike. 1-1.
As a matter of fact, the extra men on both ball clubs have a better batting average than the starters.
That's popped up and out of play. In a way, that's not that unusual because the fans do the voting for the starters, and a lot of times you vote with your heart. And then after the fans are through, the managers and the league presidents say, okay, give me the stat sheet. Where is that guy hitting .330?
Andres Galarraga, a prime example.
Dawson fouling it away, and still a ball and 2 strikes the count.
Dave Winfield talking on the inside pitch about how Viola likes to come inside. It's interesting that Winfield would say that because Dave likes the ball out over the plate. And the first thing he said about Viola is that he'll come inside.
As he did to strike Sandberg out. And here Dawson pops it up in foul ground. Steinbach comes all the way back but runs out of room. So still 1 ball and 2 strikes the count, and you saw Frank Pulley, the plate umpire. 6 umpires working this game. With Pulley at the plate, Larry Barnett of the American League at first, Terry Tata, National second. There they are, Dale Ford at third. Randy Marsh from the National League down the line and left, and Dan Morrison down the line and right. 1 ball and 2 strikes the count on Dawson. Viola gets him to swing out in front, and it's grounded to third, and Boggs over to McGuire to set him down 1, 2, 3. At the end of 1 in the All-Star game at Cincy, no score.
Back to again. The Shack is back.
You know, I'm always shooting myself with those darn poison-tipped crossbow darts.
Caddyshack 2, rated PG, starts Friday, July 22nd.
Sundown, Luke! I'm calling you out! Luke!
Since 1896, some men have preferred to spend their nights in more rewarding pursuits.
Luke!
Shouldn't your night belong to Michelob Light?
Luke!
Chevy S10 invites you to own the street with the biggest engine ever offered in a compact pickup. The most V6 power and torque available in a compact truck. And a price to make your heart beat faster than ever.
The heartbeat of America. That's today's Chevy truck.
This is a taste test. We gave this man one bite of a new kind of steak, America's Cut. Does he like it? Well, we'll put the rest at the end of this maze. If he liked it, he'll find it. America's Cut is white meat, easy on calories and cholesterol, but it's no ordinary white meat. It's pork. If America's Cut can pass this taste test, it'll pass yours. Pork, the other white meat.
If you're ever in a jam, here I am.
If you're ever in a mess, SOS.
And if you ever just need a little company,
count on me.
Friendship, friendship, just the perfect little blendship. No other friendships may fuss and fight. Ours will be alright every Friday night.
We've seen a few blimp shots in our time. That is spectacular. That's almost like a painting. As you look down into Riverfront Stadium on the banks of the Ohio from the Goodyear Blimp Enterprise, which hovers above downtown. This stadium sits on the riverbank, the Ohio River, and across the river, the Commonwealth of Kentucky. The All Star Game. He'll remember it forever. Second inning, no score. And here's Dave Winfield to lead off, and he goes after the first pitch and grounds it to Ozzie Smith. Over to Clark for the out. One pitch, one gone in the second inning. And it will bring up Cal Ripken. Alan Trammell having a sensational season with the Tigers, and he would have been the starting shortstop. Is in uniform, was introduced, hopes to come off the disabled list shortly, but he has that bad contusion on his elbow, and so it's Ripken getting the start.
It's not too shabby a shortstop. Started off horrendously this year along with the Orioles, who lost 21 games to start the season, but as you can see, he's no stranger to all-star games, and for obvious reasons can hit. Good fielder.
And on the bench, and that's where he'll have to stay, is Alan Trammell with that left elbow.
Hit by Todd Stottlemyre, who throws extremely hard.
And then he came back a couple of nights later and hit a grand slam to beat the Yankees, but it acted up again, and he had to go on to DL.
As a matter of fact, the American League has two shortstops on the ailing list. Ozzie Guillen of the Chicago White Sox also unable to play.
Also hit by a pitch.
Yeah.
He said, I'm too little to get hit and then play in an all-star game.
2-0 pitch, a strike. It's a real shame when you get named to the team, and there is Guillen representing the White Sox, and I know how terrible Robbie Thompson of the Giants must feel with that pinched nerve. He's had back problems for a long time, and they've acted up, and he can't be here. And his teammate Rick Russell got married during the All-Star break, so he's not here either. Ozzie Smith over to Clark for the out. So Winfield and Ripken both ground to short. Two gone. Base is empty. Second inning in a scoreless game as Mark McGwire comes up. McGwire, the rookie, splashed last year with the Oakland A's with 49 home runs. Streaky kind of year for him here, and they'll need him to get hot in the second half as the Twins and the Royals try to nip away at the A's lead. In for a strike, 0-1.
He had 20 first pitch home runs last year out of those 49 home runs, so the pitchers have definitely adjusted. There's some talk in the American League of what they've tried to do, and he was beamed earlier in the year. They have tried to throw inside, and Dana tried to establish the outside part of the plate, and he's had some problems with that.
Fouled away.
That was an inside fastball right there. And this is a game that certainly illustrates why you have to pitch power hitters inside. Almost all power hitters like to extend their arms. Gooden ties up McGuire. Canseco the same way, I understand. And Strawberry certainly like that. Andre Dawson like that. The problem is when you miss inside, your mistake is a home run. You miss away, it's a single.
Gooden couldn't figure out where he missed with that last pitch. It's 2-2. And now it's 3-2 on McGuire.
Well, Dwight has the luxury, and we've seen him in the first week. He got Winfield out with a curveball. He got Ripken out with a fastball. He throws so hard, it's tough to catch up.
Throws him a breaking pitch. And down goes McGuire. And at the end of 1.5, no score.
What's that? He's got our flashlights. Over there.
Good, Monkey. But I said Bud Light.
If you want the one light that outshines them all, ask for Bud Light, because everything else is just a light.
It's so hard to get good help.
You really have to be careful out there. The road's full of surprises. Since I got Michelin's, I feel in control, sure of myself and my car. Look, no tire can stop surprises. I know, but with Michelin's, you can be ready for them.
Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires.
DuPont knows you want to keep your home beautiful, down to that beautiful new carpet. But there are always a few snags. So DuPont developed Certified Stainmaster Carpet. Now even stains this ugly clean up this beautifully. There's only one Stainmaster. DuPont Certified Stainmaster.
While other airlines have prohibited smoking on flights under 2 hours, only Northwest has eliminated smoking on all flights throughout North America.
Hip, hip, hooray! Hip, hip, hooray! Northwest, Northwest, Northwest.
So you think you know what Dirty Harry's up to? Well, take another look.
Come on, you guys, hurry up!
You forgot your fortune cookie.
What?
Clint Eastwood is Dirty Harry in The Deadpool.
Rated R. Starts Wednesday, July 13th.
Every time we see an All-Star game, I keep thinking about that old line, deep depth. Who was it, Yogi or somebody who came up with that? But there's deep depth. Kirby Puckett, a bench warmer, at least at the start. Darryl Strawberry to lead off in the bottom of the second inning, leading the National League in home runs, and 11 of those 21 have come against left-handers. 1-1, so he'll dig in against Viola, to be followed by Bonilla and Clark.
And he's on a 2-for-26 streak, so he hasn't been hitting very well. And I think a lot of that reason is Keith Hernandez is not in the lineup. Pitching right around him and inside to him. Of course, that is the weakness, I suppose. This year, he's had such an outstanding year. If you do not get the ball up and in, or down and away, he's going to have a home run swing as you take a look at a ball that he just barely nicks up and in as Viola runs it there.
And he grounds it down to second. And that's Molitor back at his old position, throwing out Strawberry. Bobby Bonilla coming up. And Bonilla's story, a most interesting one. Growing up in the South Bronx. And originally signed by the Pirates. And there was Bobby at the age of 10 and sent over to the White Sox. And then Sid Thrift got him back. He came back to Pittsburgh, and he's done a tremendous job for the Pirates this year. He grounds the first pitch down to Ripken, who throws him out. And Frank Viola has set down 5 straight. So 2 gone quickly in the second inning. And it will bring up Will Clark. Speaking of deep depth, is George Brett on that bench?
Let's see, we saw Puckett 350, Brett sitting 330. I mean, boy, this is a great team to manage. And they can play defense. And I think that is one thing that the American League, as you said, Al's lost 22 out of the last 25. They have tried to come up with a ball club, as you see a high fastball right by Will Clark, that can contend with the National League speed late in the ball game.
Clark, the Giants' first baseman, taking high. And for Will, what a tremendous thrill, and that is his nickname, Will the Thrill. But what a thrill to be on a National League All-Star team with your college teammate, Rafael Palmeiro. They hit 3 and 4 for the Bulldogs for 3 years.
The number 5 hitter in that lineup, Bobby Thigpen, who was an outfielder, and now he has 18 saves for the Chicago White Sox.
Murderer's row in Starkville. The 1-2 pitch is fouled away. So 2 out, bases empty. No score, bottom of the 2nd inning.
Will and Rafi were telling me before the game that it was thunder, lightning, and rain. Bobby Thigpen.
It's looped down the line in left field, curling and just going foul. So still 1 ball and 2 strikes. With 2 out of the bases empty, bottom of the 2nd inning. Clark coming back, and Gary Carter on deck.
You talk about a hitter who combines power and contact. I don't think anybody in baseball has a prettier swing than Will Clark.
Well, that's why I asked you about Stan Musial. You played against him. Boy, I mean, I've seen some old reels of Stan. Look very much alike. When he hits the ball, it is beautiful. I mean, great extension. You didn't see it on that swing before because the ball was up and in, but when he gets the bat head out, and he hit 35 home runs last year.
There, of course, is so much more to hitting than beautiful swings. I think of a Giant first baseman in the 70s by the name of Ed Goodson. Not a bad player, but not all-star caliber. That same gorgeous swing. And there's Gary Carter waiting on deck. But so many things go into the difference between a 300 hitter and a 250 hitter.
Strength and balance are 2.
That's hit on a hop and backhanded, speared nicely by Ripken, who throws him out. And Frank Viola has set down 6 straight. We go to the 3rd with no score, back in Cincinnati after this word from your local station.
Millions of miles and millions of cars, more of them every year. They're riding on Kendall motor oil, that's what I hear.
Every year, more Americans discover the protection that only comes with the unique, pure quality of Kendall motor oil.
They're riding on Kendall motor oil, year after year.
Kendall, protection worth its weight in gold for more than 100 years.
Enter the Kendall Summer Sizzle Sweepstakes at retailers in the Cleveland area.
In Canada, winter comes a little earlier. The mountains loom a little higher. The rivers run a little colder. Some people say you can taste it in the beer. Molson Golden, Molson Light. A little crisper, a little bolder. Molson is Canadian beer.
Fred Sticker. Fred Sticker. Fred Sticker. Nah, who's Fred Sticker?
Fred Stecker is Ohio's high-volume Oldsmobile dealer. Fred Stecker Oldsmobile has the largest Oldsmobile inventory now for you. Fred Stecker has the lowest prices and the best deals on new and used cars. Fred Stecker has to sell 200 cars by July 31st at unbelievably low prices.
So that's Fred Stecker.
Bad news from the crop report. Details on Eyewitness News.
The 59th All-Star Game. This ABC Sports exclusive is brought to you by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light. One of the great Cincinnati landmarks in the foreground, the Central Trust Tower, and a look into Riverfront Stadium at the edge of downtown. The All-Star Game. Look at that shot. That's the Riverfront Coliseum, the indoor arena on the left, and the freeways which go by the stadium, the Ohio River, the bridges into Kentucky, and underneath the blimp, downtown Cincinnati. There's a drive into right field. It backs Strawberry all the way back, and it's out of his glove and over the wall for a home run. Terry Steinbach, the All-Star, who a lot of people said should not be here, hits a home run. Doesn't it figure?
Well, number 6 on the year, something that does not happen very often off Doc Gooden. He doesn't really catch up, but he likes the ball away, as you see the jubilation. 16 last year, 6 this year, but he did fracture his orbital bone earlier in the year. Take another look at it. And he got his hands in. You can see how strong he is. 6'5", Darryl Strawberry almost catches it. Looks like he almost gets it on the rebound.
Tipped his glove off the top of the fence, and now Gary Gaetti bats for his teammate Viola. So Steinbach, and a lot of people felt he shouldn't be here. They thought there was some ballot box rigging in Oakland, and they punched out his name in an unfair manner. But on the other side is the fact that in the American League there really isn't an outstanding catcher. As Gaetti swings and misses, and so he gets the call, and Laudner is the backup. Carlton Fisk has been hurt most of the year. And Steinbach, who said, hey, man, I'm just happy to be here. I thank the fans. And he thanks them again. No balls, 2 strikes. And it's 1-2.
And you also saw in the dugout the unusual style of congratulations that has become a trademark of the Oakland Athletics.
Gooden takes the one hopper, takes care of Gaetti. Gary gone, and Henderson is the batter.
You can't help but see a play like this and think of Dave Henderson in the 1986. You and Jim were there. Game 5, actually, of the American League Championship Series.
In center
when
field.
Henderson had 2 2-run homers.
Right.
One that he hit with his bat, the other he hit with his glove.
That he dropped.
And here's the elbow bashing we were talking about. It's dangerous to shake hands on that ball club.
Hey, can you imagine if Kirk Gibson played with the A's? The whole team would be in surgery. 1-0 on Ricky Henderson, who drew a walk in the first inning. That's grounded to the hole and a base hit. So Henderson gets on for the second time. Remember, in the first inning he walked. He stayed put on the first pitch. Had a tremendous jump on the second on the foul ball, and then stayed put and was the front end of a double play on the third. And there's Steinbach, last man to do it. Lee Mazzilli in '79 at the Kingdome in Seattle. A home run in his first All-Star game at bat.
He may be maligned because he's here, but he had a solid year. I mean, a guy that was converted from a third baseman to a catcher made the transition very well. Thrown out 48% of all runners trying to steal this year. So he's, as I said, been hurt, but now, of course, it's Gooden and Carter trying to throw out Henderson.
Ricky with his 42 steals, and again, he has missed a lot of time.
You know, I was talking to him about that, Al, and he said, you know, with Billy Martin managing early, he said a little more aggressive style, and that's why he sprained both ankles. Not to blame it on Billy, but just the aggressive style of playing.
Wide of third, short hop by Bonilla to second, and they force Henderson for the second out. So Bobby Bonilla ranging to his left. You know Bonilla can hit. The question a couple of years ago was, where do you play him? And he's found a home at third in Pittsburgh.
Well, he played the outfield. We know he can play first base, but then again, he's a good athlete. Switch hitter, just smothers it, knows he has to get the lead runner and does that. It's interesting that Molitor has not taken pitches either time up, but then again, he's not hitting in a custom second spot. Paul with 26 steals, only been thrown out 3 times, so I think most people think of Paul Molitor 39-game hitting streak, but he can do a lot of things: home runs, high batting average, and steal bases.
And so versatile. And again, he's a former second baseman, now a DH basically, and why not? In the year of the balk in the All-Star game, you got to have a balk. I mean, you knew it was coming. It wouldn't be fair to go through this one without a balk.
Dwight Gooden had a look at Frank Pulley, and it's kind of the same look Whitey has, as if to say, I didn't think you'd be calling the All-Star game. It's got to be a discernible stop, and they have been calling it all year. And to be honest with you, I didn't think they would be as tough in the All-Star game on the balk situation.
I didn't either.
Say, why not?
Well, I figured that this is a microcosm of the season. We mentioned at the Open, the All-Star game reflects so many things about the year, so it's really appropriate. We'll have a balk tonight and then a suspension. We'll be right in tune.
Well, what's interesting when you see Whitey Herzog smiling is a lot of people think because Bert Blyleven in last year's World Series did not have that discernible stop, Whitey got the Major League Rules Committee to make this rule. So maybe that's why he had that chagrin look on his face.
That's a line drive caught by Sandberg. Timed it perfectly off the bat of Boggs, who was bidding for his second hit. Steinbach's home run makes it 1-0 Americans after 2.5.
These meals may look familiar, but there's something about them you don't know. You know they're old favorites, you know they're delicious, and you know they're made with white meat. What you don't know is that the white meat they're made with isn't chicken, it's pork. Because even an old favorite can use a new twist.
Guys, but I've been waiting for a Bud Light.
If you want the one light that outshines them all, ask for Bud Light.
Come on, let me show you the kitchen. You've seen the bedroom.
Bud Light, because everything else is just a light.
The advanced new Chevy half-ton is all new. Ford isn't, and the advantages stack up. Chevy gives you new two-tier loading. Ford doesn't. More two-sided galvanized steel, a heavier base payload, and on top of it all, more standard power with Vortec V6. And one more advantage. The 88 Chevy's priced less than Ford.
The heartbeat of America.
The advanced full-size Chevy.
That's today's Chevy truck.
Gold medalists Edwin Moses, Carl Lewis, and more compete in the track and field trials. Plus the box-offs in the U.S. Olympic trials on ABC's Wide World of Sports live Saturday.
In Cincinnati, Ohio, a city whose very name is synonymous with this sport, home of the Cincinnati Red Stockings in 1869. The last out of the third inning.
Well, that's how you win 5 consecutive Gold Gloves. Great range, jumping ability. Of course, that's also how you usually get 200 base hits. You stay with that low curveball and hit it right on the nose. But Sandberg saves the second run. As you look at Roger Clemens, you could throw also 6 shutouts in there. He has doubled Paul Kilgus down with Texas Ranger, who has 3. Viola with 2.
So Clemens working in the third inning on Gary Carter after Frank Viola works 2 perfect innings. Clemens comes out of the pen to face the bottom of the order. Carter, Smith, and then the pitcher's spot. We'll see what Herzog does as Carter swings and misses. Gooden has gone his 3. That's as far as he can go. So Whitey will hit for good. There's no question about that. And we'll find out who it will be. And it appears to be Gerald Perry in the foreground there, lower right, bat in hand.
Roger Clemens pitched last Saturday night, 15 strikeouts and a no decision.
Against the White Sox.
He is, as a matter of fact, Clemens, one of the American League pitchers that's not rested. That's an interesting stat right there. 19 plate appearances.
And he really shines in the All-Star game. Gary is the 2-time MVP, 81 and 84. He's taken the trophy home.
One of 6 players to hit 2 home runs in a game back in 1981 at Cleveland. After the 2-month strike by Major League Baseball players.
2-2 pitch is fouled away. People forget that's the last time the All-Star game was held in the state of Ohio, and it was delayed and postponed. And then finally they began the second half of the season with that Sunday night All-Star game at Cleveland.
And the state of Ohio holding the most All-Star games. They've held 8. California and New York with 7 apiece. That's unusual.
2 tradition-rich franchises. Popped up. And Molitor is there for the catch. One away, and Gary Bender has Frank Viola with him. Gary.
Well, Frank, the 7th game of the World Series, starting the All-Star game. How'd you feel about those two? Compare them.
It's been a heck of a year. You know, the World Series, I don't think you can top because we weren't expected to do anything, and we did it as a team, not expected to go anywhere, and that was a great achievement in itself, but you can't take anything away from this All-Star game. It's a showcase, and I was fortunate enough to have the chance to go out there and show it.
Perfect 2 innings. Steinbach, you shook him off about 3 times that first inning.
Well, he's calling the game as though he's hitting against me, and he's hitting lifetime 400 against me, so I couldn't let him do that. But, you know, I just know what I want to go with in certain situations, and Terry got the hang of it after the first inning.
You've got the hang of it, too. Thanks, Frank.
Thank you, Gary.
Back up to Al.
All right, Gary, thank you. As Ozzie Smith takes inside, 1 ball and 1 strike with 1 out of the bases empty. The National League looking for his first base runner. Ozzie with decent numbers. Thing about Smith, it's funny, and Ozzie's the leading vote getter. Well, he should be. He's been a tremendous shortstop for years, but surprisingly, he's made more errors already this year than he did all of last season.
There's one reason possibly for that is Tommy Herr is not playing there in defense of Ozzie. Not that he needs a lot of defense, because he is, I mean, a peerless shortstop. When you think of Roger Clemens at 97 miles per hour, I guess that's what only happens after 2 days of rest. And Ozzie does not strike out very often. One of his strengths is he runs the radar gun up to 98 miles per hour.
He doesn't face Roger Clemens very
No,
much.
he doesn't. Well, there aren't too many Roger Clemens, not that I can recall, in history, past history, or in the present tense. Of course, you go back to 1986, he retired 9 in a row down in Houston. Only 2 days of rest.
Now Gerald Perry of the Atlanta Braves, the sole representative from Atlanta, takes a strike. 0-1. Perry making a bid for the batting title, just came off the disabled list, and at the All-Star break, he's 1 point behind Andres Galarraga. And Clemens quickly out in front, 0-2.
Well, he struck out 186 on 159 innings this year and only walked 28. So you get an idea, not only does he have the 98 mile per hour fastball, 3 other pitches to go with it, and pinpoint control.
And the 0-2 pitch fouled away. That was best typified, of course, by the night in which he struck out 20 Seattle Mariners 2 years ago, and that incredible figure under BB for bases on balls. None. No walks, innings, 20 strikeouts.
9 innings, 4 hits, 0-0-0-20.
To left field, and it's Canseco who plays right in Oakland, but he has given way to Winfield tonight, and at the end of 3, it's still American League 1, National League nothing.
Jeff Bridges is Preston Tucker. In 1946, he built a car so revolutionary, it had to be stopped.
You make the car too good. Enough right now to cost billions just to keep up with them. You don't understand how powerful the forces are that are working against us here. Now we are going to build that car exactly the way we want it. He is dead.
Tucker, the true story of a man and his dream. Rated PG. Coming this August to theaters everywhere.
It's the Quaker State Porsche Sweepstakes and Rebate, and everybody wins. Mail in the rebate by August 5th, and you'll have $360 per case in your pocket, a great oil in your engine, and maybe a Porsche in your garage. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
Now, a revolution in blade shaving from Remington, the new Remington Electro Blade, with vibrating blades for a close, smooth, comfortable shave. Safe, immersible, and cordless. The new Remington Electro Blade vibrating blade system.
If people think that there's nobody at AT&T that's going to fight for them, then they haven't talked to us, because they would know better. There's 300 people in my branch alone that are out to see that the small business customer succeeds. In our center, they are the only customers. They're not small business. And in fact, a sale in our branch is a very big customer with a big sale. We want to make it work. So if you haven't spoken to someone from AT&T, you need to do that.
My recipe for impressing Angela? Take her to the fastest fast food restaurant in the world.
Here you go, Miss. Patty melt, right toast, hold the onion, side of slop, extra pickle.
That was
fast.
but...
How? Telepathy. In here, your head's an open book.
I'd also like...
Nice, cold, natural light.
That's incredible.
Now that doesn't take a mind reader. Everybody knows it's the beer with the taste of food.
Yeah, for great taste, it's a natural light from Anheuser-Busch.
So, Angela, what do you think?
Oh, she thinks you should...
Don't you dare!
Oh, sorry, lucky guy.
In the blue cap with a white K for Kentucky, A.B. Happy Chandler, a familiar figure at Riverfront Stadium. He lives in Lexington, not far from Cincinnati, in the heart of bluegrass country. And a guest Commissioner Uberoth tonight, looking on at the 59th All-Star Game as we proceed to the 4th. And Bob Knepper does the pitching for the National League, and he starts Jose Canseco with a strike. You think those two guys know a little bit about hitting? Brett and Mattingly. And behind them, Mike Greenwell was trying to eavesdrop.
Yeah. He only has 71 RBIs, right? He needs to learn a lot. Right. Oh. Of course, they'd like to miss this guy because he is tough on left-handers. Bob Knepper won his 12th game on, won his 9th game on Friday night.
He beat Dwight Gooden, as a matter of fact, at the Dome down in Houston. The National League does not have a rested starting staff.
And only 2 relievers.
Right. 1-2 to Canseco, and that's a real good point because by rights, Greg Maddux of the Chicago Cubs, and we have to mention him, is the winningest pitcher in the big leagues with 15, and by rights he should have started, but he pitched a complete game against San Diego Sunday and doesn't figure to pitch tonight. High towering fly ball to left field. And Vince Coleman puts it away. Canseco gone. 1 out. Winfield coming up. And let's go down to Joe Morgan, who is with Dwight Gooden.
Thank you, Al. Dwight, this is your second All-Star start. I don't think the American League has seen the real Dwight Gooden yet.
I don't think so. It was fun out there tonight, Joe, but couldn't really get the rhythm going the way I like, but hopefully I'll be back again.
Your lead is down to 3.5. Are the Mets concerned?
We're not really concerned. We got swept in Houston, but that's okay. And the break came right at the right time, and hopefully we could pick up, the second half and start off fresh.
Right. Back to you, Al.
Okay, Joe, as Knepper works with 1 out on Dave Winfield, taking outside. 1-0 Winfield with a mark close at hand. 6-game hitting streak. Mickey Mantle and Joe Morgan hold the record, 7. And think about it, it's tough to have an All-Star Game hitting streak going. Number 1, you got to be on the team. Number 2, you have to be in the lineup or at least pinch hit. And then you have to get enough at-bats to keep the thing going. 1-0 pitch, and he's in the book with Mantle and Morgan, and he'll be in with a double as Winfield rounds first and pulls into second. So Dave Winfield having the year of his career with a double to the gap in the All-Star Game with 1 out in the 4th inning.
Well, the 7th double, also a record. 7 doubles now for Dave, and we mentioned earlier that he loves to extend his arms, and he showed you there why.
Well, a normal guy, you usually get to that ball, but he hit it so hard it gets right up the gap. And you can see Bob Knepper, he knows he did not get the ball down in a way where he wanted it. The result of two-base hit.
So Winfield joining some illustrious company with a 7-game All-Star Game hitting streak. 1 out, and Ripken takes outside. Ball 1. Ripken grounded out in the 2nd inning.
You see 2 for 13. Cal, very much a hitter like Dave Winfield, likes to get his arms extended. A little bit better breaking ball hitter, especially maybe the 2nd or 3rd time around, a luxury he doesn't have tonight.
2-0 the count. Bob Knepper, coming off a terrible season in '87, has turned it completely around. And of course, he got that reaction before the game. He was quoted before the season as saying he didn't think a woman's place was behind the plate as an umpire. And then he got into more hot water with the National Organization for Women, and it's become a cause célèbre. Of course, he's publicly apologized, but you heard the reaction tonight when he was announced.
It was interesting to watch his face. He didn't know how he was going to be received.
Oh, he knew. But he's been putting up with it all season. And he walks Ripken here. So runners at first and second now for the American League with 1 out in the 4th inning. And Tom Kelly sending McGuire to the plate. McGuire last year as a rookie was in the All-Star game, not as a starter. And last year in his own home park in Oakland. And the All-Star game next year goes back to California, Anaheim. And then in 1990, Wrigley Field under the lights. Inside. 1 ball, no strikes to count.
5 3-run homers. I guess you could add that he leads the majors in 16th inning home runs this year, too. 2 game winners, back-to-back 16th inning home runs.
That's his number. And he grounds it into left field for a base hit. Winfield will be held at third as the throw is offline, and Gardner is there to field it on a hop. Now, the interesting thing here is that your base coaches are managers. That's Tom Trebelhorn, the manager of the Milwaukee Brewers, but he sized it up. And he looked at Coleman charging on the AstroTurf and decides to hold Winfield at third.
And the reason for that is he gets to the ball so quickly, and Trebelhorn has to make up his decision. Winfield runs exceptionally well for a man his size. But here with 1 out, you don't want him thrown out at the plate. Coleman gets to the ball so quickly, Trebelhorn says, hey, we had the guy coming up to the plate that already homered. Let him hit with the bases loaded, and this is what's going to happen.
So the infield double play depth now as Knepper tries to work out of a 4th inning jam, and the National League bullpen will get busy with David Cone going down there to start throwing. There he is. And Cone, well, this would normally be his day to throw on the side. Working Sunday in Houston. Knepper falls down, and a great stop by Carter. And it reminds you of Candlestick Park when Stu Miller was blown off the mound, but there's no wind tonight. Knepper just went down in a heap.
Well, we talked about Gary's throwing earlier combined with the New York Met pitchers, but it is amazing that Gary Carter has maintained his mobility after catching over 1,600 games. He is really remarkable. That is a remarkable play by Carter.
And it saves a run for the moment, and then it pitches it high in the air to left field, deep enough to score a run. Back goes Coleman, makes the catch on the track. Winfield scores easily to make it 2-0, and Steinbach comes within about 8 feet of hitting a grand slam homer.
Well, for a guy that's not supposed to be here, he had a grand slam swing. I mean, we already saw him homer to right field. That's a helicopter on a ball up and in. Great at bat extension. Looking for a pitch he knows he can hit a fly ball in, and does. Pretty good piece of hitting.
So Steinbach has driven in both runs. The American League leads 2-0, 2 out and 2 on. And Johnny Ray, the sole representative of the California Angels, the longtime Pittsburgh Pirates second baseman, who for the most part has played left field for the Angels this season, and then they had to move him back in when Mark McLemore got hurt. So Johnny Ray comes up here to pinch hit and takes a strike. And Mark Gubazar has already warmed up for the American League, and he will come on. So Clemens goes only 1.
California Angels sorry to see the All-Star break come. They've won 5 in a row, playing much better baseball.
Swept 4 from Cleveland just prior to the break. That's hit softly into left field, but on comes Coleman to make the catch. A run, 2 hits, and 2 left after 3.5. The American League leads 2-0 in Cincinnati.
IBM presents You Make the Call. With a runner on second, a batted ball hits an umpire before the fielder has a chance to field it. Is the base runner allowed to score? You make the call.
I just proposed additional IBM PS2s.
Oh, really?
You want to know why?
Do I want to know why?
Go on, ask me why.
Why?
Compatibility.
I love compatibility. PS2s can run the programs we run on these old PCs, which means we can keep using the software we've already got. Are you following all I'm that? hanging on every word. Not to mention the PS2's increased speed and superior graphics.
Not to mention advanced OS2 capabilities.
Were you listening outside the door? Was he listening outside the door?
Anytime a ball hits an umpire before a fielder has a chance to field it, it's a dead ball. Give the batter a hit, but if you said the runner goes back to second, you made the right call.
You asleep?
No.
Thinking about the house?
Yes.
Sure we can afford it?
No.
Uptight?
Yes.
Buying a home can make you a little uneasy when you don't know what to expect. But if you get the new Best Buyer Guidebook from Coldwell Banker, we'll take you through every step, from finding a home to financing it. So don't get left in the dark.
Is it going to be okay?
Call Coldwell Banker and expect the best. A member of the Sears Financial Network.
Have you looked inside your car lately? How hard could it be to wipe some Armor All Protectant on the dash and the seats? Now, don't you feel like you went out and bought a new car, huh? Except I saved you the payments. Nothing down, no tax, no pressure.
There are places in this country where the night can last for up to 6 months. Some guys have all the luck. Shouldn't your night belong to Michelob Light?
And we come back to Cincinnati. Kurt Stillwell of the Royals on the left, and you saw Harold Reynolds, and in between innings, Gary Gaetti, who's already been in the game, and he can enjoy himself for the rest of the night as the All-Star game moves along. Mark Gubicza of Kansas City comes in to pitch, and Vince Coleman leads off for the National League. The National League without a base runner. 9 up and 9 down, and now Gubicza, who's won 12 for the Royals. This is low to Coleman, ball 2. Coleman, Sandberg, and Dawson. Bottom of the 4th inning. 2-0 American League.
It was very important to keep Vince Coleman off the bases, which is 45 steals. Gubicza, to be successful, has to keep the ball down. Something he's obviously done this year. 12-6 last year, 12-5 already at this point this season. 6'5", 210, good sinking fastball, a little bit of breaking ball and a changeup.
4-hit shutout Friday at New York. Line drive, left field, base hit. And so the National League has its first hit, first base runner. And it's Vince Coleman with his 45 steals at first base with nobody out. And Herzog, knowing that Vince knows the signs. And you've got Nick Leyva coaching at third. So everybody's at home here.
Vince has not driven in a run in 40 games, and Whitey Herzog said, this better not be the game that he drives in a run. So once he gets on first with nobody out, the chances go dramatically up that he's going to score a run.
I was kidding Whitey before the game. I said every time you manage in a big game, a guy named Bush throws out the first ball. With a C or without one. Coleman held on by McGuire at first base.
We'll take a look at the quick throw as McGuire tries to tag Coleman. You see his hand just barely get in there. Now what you want to do if you're Gubicza is get the ball as quickly to Steinbach as you can and keep Coleman from getting a running lead.
Huge lead, pitches a strike, and the throw is too late, rolls into center field, and Coleman goes to third. And so the crowd finally has something to cheer about.
I was talking to Terry Steinbach yesterday, and I said, what do you think they're going to try to do? He says they're going to try to run me out of the park, and this is what Coleman's trying to do. Steinbach really should have held this ball. He had no chance. Ripken tries to block it. Ball goes into center, and take another look. Coleman's so quick, he's just up and into third base.
Still nobody out. 0-1 is the count, and the next pitch is fouled back off the bat of Sandberg. Infield is playing back, so they'll give up a run on a ground ball. American League leading 2-0. Bottom of the 4th.
That really is the mindset, even if you're a pitcher. You know with a 2-0 lead, you don't want to be so worried about Coleman that you allow the tying and possibly winning run to come to the plate.
Oh, good breaking pitch. The prototypical 0-2 pitch. Get him to chase it, and that's what he did.
Goes back to what we said. Sandberg probably hasn't seen Mark Gubicza, so all he sees is 2 fastballs, and then he goes fishing for this low and away breaking ball. Quite effective.
So Sandberg gets punched out in the first inning by Viola, and now in the fourth by Gubicza, and Andre Dawson is the batter. He commits, and the count is 0-1.
You've just seen 2 swings because hitters are unfamiliar with the pitchers. Not only are the pitchers of quality, but the hitters on both teams are very unfamiliar with them, and that's one of the big reasons that pitching usually dominates an all-star game.
I think it's the single most important factor. That combined with the fact that in recent times there have been a number of games played on the West Coast. Dodger Stadium in 80, Candlestick in 84. Oakland last year, San Diego in 78 in the twilight.
Anaheim next year.
Yep. Foul back. 1-2 the count on Dawson.
Well, those are some of the points that Whitey Herzog said. What would he change about the All-Star game? He'd limit pitchers to 1 inning. No 5 o'clock games. That's because he wants his hitters to have a chance. And also he'd take away the he would take away pitchers hitting and institute the DH.
And that's what they're going to do next year in the American League parks anyway. The DH will be used in the All-Star game at Anaheim. And that's in the dirt. It gets away from Steinbach. He can't find it, and Coleman scores. So Vince Coleman doing what he does so often in St. Louis. Single, steal to third on a bad throw, and home on an errant pitch. A wild pitch here.
And the National League doing what it does best with the running game. A faster team than the American League. The American League runs coming on the power. The home run by Steinbach, and Terry has been involved in all 3 runs.
He has been the man of the hour. That's grounded back to Gubicza. He knocks it down, loses his glove, stays with it, throws high, pulls McGuire off first base. Gubicza had everything in order until the very end when the throw pulls him off. And that scored a base hit, and they're going to check Gubicza.
Well, it's doubtful he's ever had to throw a ball without a glove on. And he throws against his body. You can see the high throw. They call that a snow cone, and Dawson's in on the air, I assume, on a high throw by Gubicza.
I think they're going to be charitable here and give him a base hit. They are. Willie McGee goes into pinch run for Dawson and might stay in the game as Strawberry comes to the plate. So McGee running at first.
So McGee stealing at first if he wishes. He's attempted it 30 times, been successful 26 times. Whitey knows his players, especially the ones from the Cardinals.
And that's grounded back to second. Great stop by Molitor, but he has to eat it. And again, Molitor, who really hasn't played second on an everyday basis in about 5 years, getting the nod there in the All-Star balloting and doing an incredible job tonight.
And the fans once again show that they know what they're talking about when they put Molitor in second base. He's played 1 game there this year. Along those lines, the ball players talk about the fans voting, and the ball players were asked to vote for George Brett, and George Brett was picked 6th as a third baseman.
That's right.
He has played third all year.
Word travels slowly sometimes. Bonilla fouls it away in the count 0-1. It's like some of those All-American college football teams that are announced every year postseason. You find out half the time the guy on the second team was injured all year, didn't play.
But he was a preseason first-string pick.
Absolutely. That's the difference. 0-1 on Bobby Bonilla, who gets brushed back, and the count is 1-1.
that'll get your attention. I mean, Gubazov well over 90 miles per hour with that fastball.
Fouled away, and it's a ball and 2 strikes on Bobby Bonilla. National League dugout. Vance Law of the Cubs. And a look down into Riverfront Stadium. Capacity about 55,000. Ballpark opening in late June of 1970 and hosting the All Star Game for the 2nd time. Bonilla hits one down the line in right field, and it is a foul ball. Foul ball. So McGee has to go back, and Strawberry has to go back. And Gubazov is fortunate that the count is still 1-2.
Take another look. This is a camera we used in the World Series last year. It gives you a perfect example of whether the ball is fair or foul. You can see for yourself, it just hooks foul at the end. What a hitter, Bonilla. 17 home runs, 12 from the left side, 5 from the right side. Mike LaValliere said his weakness is he only hits the ball 450 feet right-handed and only 420 feet left-handed. So what a weakness to have.
1 out, 2 on, and the 1-2 pitch to Bonilla is outside. American League on top, 2-1 in the bottom of the 4th inning. Willie McGee at second base. Strawberry at first. Two to Bonilla is hit to right field and right at Winfield, and the runners hold. So Bonilla, after nearly stroking one fair for a double in the lead, flies out to right. 2 gone. Bobby back to the dugout, and it sends Will Clark of the Giants to the plate. Tom Kelly, Dick Such, Rick Rennick, he's brought all of his coaches, and there's Bobby Valentine, the manager of the Texas Rangers, who along with Tom Trebelhorn, the manager of the Brewers, serving as the coaches. And in the background there, Bobby Doerr, the honorary captain, the Red Sox Hall of Famer. Clark hits it sharply on one hop to Molitor at second, and Paul throws him out. They get a run in the 4th to make it 2-1. American League on top as we go to the 5th, and we're back in Cincinnati after this word from your local station.
Tomorrow, new medical insights into crack addiction. Find out why even one-time users crave it for life. Watch ABC's World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Tonight on the late edition of Eyewitness News, surprise and shock to Michael Dukakis' choice of Lloyd Benson to be his running mate, and bad news for Ohio's farmers. Join us after the All-Star Game.
Genesee, brewed the same traditional way for over 100 years. It's not just a beer, it's a Jenny.
It's a beautiful morning.
It's funny, but since McDonald's started serving hot handheld breakfasts, the world appears on everyone's doorstep by 7.
And just smile.
More folks are having breakfast with famous people.
Taking some clean, fresh air.
And the Pacific Ocean opens for business promptly at 9. Perhaps McDonald's sizzling bacon, hot McMuffins, and homemade biscuits can't take all the credit, but even the birds have noticed McDonald's is America's morning place.
Now you can double your wallet power at Ameritrust. With Visa,
I'll take it.
And MasterCard.
I'll take it.
2 cards, 1 bank.
Now that's service.
Ameritrust, service you can bank on.
It took us 6 months to find this home.
But only 3 days for Ameritrust to give us the answer on our loan.
Now that's service.
Ameritrust, service you can bank on.
Everything you need to know to become a whole new beautiful you Wednesday.
The 59th All-Star Game. This ABC Sports exclusive is brought to you by AT&T, the right choice. Back in Cincinnati, Al Michaels with Jim Palmer and Tim McCarver. The All-Star Game moves to the 5th inning, and David Cone comes in to pitch for the National League. Cone working on Sunday, a mark of 9-2 during the regular season, and he's one of a couple of changes, and we'll get to them as we go along here. Ricky Henderson bats for the 3rd time in the game, fouling one off. Andres Galarraga of the Expos comes into the game at first base. And Andy Van Slyke of the Pirates is in the game in left field. Strike. So Galarraga will hit in the number 1 spot in the order. Van Slyke bats in the number 9 spot. Cone bats in the 6th spot as Will Clark comes out of the game. And Willie McGee stays in the game in center. He'll bat in the number 3 spot. 1 ball, 2 strikes to count on Henderson.
All 3 of the National League's outfielders capable of playing center field and playing center field very well. Jim Leyland, the manager of the Pirates, thinks Andy Van Slyke, who is now the left fielder, is the best center fielder in the National League.
There's a fly ball to the real center fielder, Willie McGee, who makes the catch for the out. All right, we have Roger Clemens downstairs. Let's go to Gary Bender.
Roger, the National League Diamonds, they've won 22 of the last 25 meetings. You're the last to beat them. What's it mean to beat the National League?
Well, it's a good feeling. You know, I think Dick Hauser stressed that very much in '86 and when I pitched started in the All-Star game in the Astrodome, and as did Tom Kelly here tonight before the game. We want to win this thing.
Roger, never in history has anyone won 3 straight Cy Young awards. You're going after that.
Well, it's a good feeling. We got a long way to go, and there's a lot of great pitchers in the American League, but it's a challenge for me. I'm going to be out there pushing for it.
Thank you, Roger. Back to Al.
Okay, Gary, 0-1 the count on Molitor, and now it's 1-1. Roger Craig of the Giants, Whitey Herzog, and Buck Rogers of the Montreal Expos. The Brain Trust, as the saying goes. Foul tip, and the count 1-2.
That's right. You can come to the All-Star game. You can throw 95, have a great curveball, and pick up a split-fingered fastball. Just talk to the Roger Craig. It's wonderful.
Cone drops down, finds the inside corner. Molitor says, come on, man.
The
the All-Star game.
Yes. The Mets have an outstanding pitching staff. We already saw Dwight Gooden. And you see Ron Darling occasionally. But look at Cone. We saw the curveball from this angle. Sidearm as he drops down. Can't see it from here, but you see Molitor just kind of flinch as he gives just enough to allow strike 3 to come on the inside part of the plate. What an outstanding young pitcher this is. 9-2. Great curveball, great fastball. Drops down as we've seen.
Boggs grounds one to the left of Smith. One-hands it and throws him out. Typical Ozzie. 3 up, 3 down at the end of 4.5. 2-1 Americans.
Listen to the heartbeat
Chevrolet Corsica LT.
of America.
Now you can enjoy sleeker aerodynamics in a Porsche 928S, a taut F41 sport suspension, electronic fuel injection, all for a price that lets you indulge yourself without denying your responsibilities.
The heartbeat of America.
Corsica LT.
That's today's Chevrolet.
Introducing Kodacolor Gold 100.
I see your true colors shining through. See your true colors shining through.
Kodacolor Gold 100 gives you the most accurate colors, the truest colors of any print film.
Don't be afraid to let them show.
A new Kodacolor Gold.
Your true colors.
Ah, the natives are restless, building appetites at a fever pitch. It's summer hunger. Summer hunger. Unleash it at Burger King. Enormous summertime sandwiches, big burgers, a huge flame-broiled Whopper, icy cold Pepsi. Summer hunger. When it strikes, only Burger King can tame it. Must be feeding time.
We do it like you do it at Burger King.
The Johnsons' first house was the biggest investment they'd ever made, so they wanted the best homeowners insurance that they could find. I'm State Farm agent John Caldwell. After Terry and Barbara checked around, they came to State Farm. They found the protection they wanted at the right price, plus the personal service people expect from a State Farm agent. One day they may find a house they like better, but they'll never find a better homeowner's insurance value.
And like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Changes for the American League. Now, Carney Lansford finally gets to play in an All-Star game. Good career. He's in the lineup at third base. As we start the fifth inning, Harold Reynolds of the Seattle Mariners takes over at second base. Lansford hits first. Reynolds will bat in the number 3 spot, as Carter fouls it away off Gubazar. And Kirby Puckett of the Minnesota Twins, having another great season, bats in the number 2 spot and takes over in center field. And the honorary team captain for the National League, Willie Stargell, mans the lines at first base. There's Wilbur Dornell, who will be inducted into the Hall of Fame on the 31st of July. What a career.
475 home runs, the same as Stan Musial.
Carter goes down on strikes, and Steinbach throws to McGuire to make it official.
And the first time Carter has struck out in All-Star competition, his 11th All-Star game. And again, it was the slider down in the dirt.
So Gary is gone, 1 away. And again, we mentioned earlier, Lance Parrish is the only other catcher for the National League, bothered by a bad back. In fact, Lance hasn't started a game since early last week. So Carter figures to go some. Ripken takes care of Smith. 2 down. And Van Slyke will come up, and we have Will Clark downstairs with Joe Morgan.
Thanks, Al. Will, any thrills out there? You call Will a thrill. Did you get nervous in your first All-Star game?
I wasn't real nervous, but it was great to play, and it was extremely fun out there.
The Giants have won 5 in a row. You're within 2.5 of the Dodgers. Can you do it again?
We're going to try. Hopefully All-Star break will get over with as quick as possible, and we get back on the field.
Back to you, Al.
Okay, Joe. As we proceed in the bottom of the 5th inning, as Van Slyke swings and fouls one down the left field line out of play, the count 0-1. Makes the catch, drops the ball. The crowd at Riverfront Stadium, home of the Big Red Machine of the 70s. Tough times in the 80s for the Reds, up and down, and some second-place finishes, and Reds struggling this year, but Pete Rose trying to turn things around, and they did get a little hot over the weekend against Philadelphia, trying to climb back into the race. 2-1 the count. Mike Greenwell of the Boston Red Sox awaiting his chance. Van Slyke at the plate, 2-1. And Andy hits a grounder down to Reynolds, and the Mariners second baseman throws him out. 3 up and 3 down in the 5th. We'll go to the 6th in the All-Star game. Still American League 2, National League 1.
Let me give you another reason why a small business person want to work with AT&T. Now, if you're a big Fortune 500 company, you probably got the opportunity to have a big staff. You hire your own experts. But if you're a small businessman, you can't afford to hire your own communication experts. Where do you go to get those people who can help you build a network to serve your customers the way one of the biggest companies in America goes? You have very limited choices. You want to get highly skilled, knowledgeable people who can help you apply that technology to your business. That's what AT&T brings.
Got a big, hot, healthy thirst for Gatorade.
Speeding in fluids and minerals.
Want my whole hot body wet with Gatorade.
Supplying energy to working muscles.
No, there's nothing better when I sweat. I just got to get Gatorade.
When you're hot, nothing's better.
Gatorade is thirsty. Ooh, I got to get it for that deep down body thirst.
You know, a lot of people are succeeding in business thanks to desktop publishing. Makes you look pretty smart, doesn't it? Only thing is, what if you need 5,000? Printed just as nice for that big meeting. Now, how are you going to get that done? Huh?
It's no big secret. A dead pool is just a harmless game.
Sounds pretty sick to me. In case you don't realize it, Callahan, your name is on this list, too.
Clint Eastwood is Dirty Harry in The Dead Pool. Rated R. Starts Wednesday, July 13th.
An invitation to tea with golf's royalty. The world's finest golfers will attend. Live exclusive coverage of the British Open begins Saturday on ABC Sports.
It's that kind of a night. It's a gala celebration in Cincinnati.
200th anniversary of or birthday, I guess, of the city, and the fireworks the other night. What a lovely, lovely town. They have done a remarkable job with the downtown area, too.
White tie and tails for the grounds crew here. The bicentennial is the focal point of it. As we go to the 6th inning, and Kevin Gross of the Philadelphia Phillies comes into the game. He'll bat 8th, and the crowd responding for the new shortstop, Barry Larkin. And what a thrill, not only to play in your home stadium, but in your hometown. A kid who grew up in Cincinnati, was drafted by the Reds in the early 80s and declined to sign, went to Michigan, was redrafted by Cincinnati, and here he is in the All-Star game in his hometown. Jose Canseco at the plate, takes a strike, and the count of 1-1. And of course, oddly, the one guy whose town this is, it belongs to him, is at home tonight watching the game on TV. That is Indian Hill Mance, and we're talking about number 14, Pete Rose. 0-2. The Reds manager taking a night off, taking an all-star break. In the literal sense. Look out. 1-2.
Another attention pitch. There's Kevin Gross. What a game this is. Last year lost 16 games. This year 8-5. Pitching in an all-star game. 0-2. Trying to throw it a little bit harder, get a little bit extra. Not that high, though.
And Canseco down on strike. So Jose is 0 for 3 tonight. Striking out to lead things off in the 6th inning. And it brings up Dave Winfield, who was grounded out and doubled. Dave Winfield keeps racking up the numbers and honors and awards.
Gold gloves.
And wouldn't that be something if in this year of turmoil and the battling back and forth with his owner, if he were to win the MVP award, he's having that kind of a season. 1-0 the count.
Well, he's always gone to extremes. Lifetime average, batting average is around 280. One year, Steinbrenner said he didn't hit it for a high enough average, so he hit 340. Next year, he said he hit for a high average, not enough home runs. He hit a lot of home runs. And Yankee Stadium is very tough for a right-handed hitter to hit home runs in. This year, a little bit of both. 346 coming into the game, 15 home runs.
Gross's 2-0 pitch. Winfield swinging from the heels. 2-1. And you could tell from the blimp that he was going for the downs.
Look at Kevin Gross, all arms and legs. Well over 6'4", and 2-0, thou shalt not pass. Home run swing from Dave Winfield.
And that's so typical of what you see Winfield do during the regular season as well.
Yeah, from the blimp, this probably looks like a helicopter. The bat flying out of Dave's hand and going down toward third base.
From the blimp. Well,
the helicopter, here it is.
Ask and you shall receive. They had this baby tied into the tape machine. There it is.
Low chopper.
Absolutely, you're right.
Baseball term anyway. High chopper, right? Huh?
Yep. Helicopter or a dying quail. 2-2.
The bad thing is when he throws his bat and also makes contact. And as a pitcher, you're trying to see the ball and also get out of the way of the bat.
Change in the dirt. You talk about having cameras everywhere. I wonder what that looked like from Scottsdale, Arizona.
I think I'll call my dad tomorrow and ask him.
I got to ask Kurt Gowdy Jr., Craig Janoff. We got a remote out there. 3-2 pitch is spun foul outside first and into the hands of Wayne Terwilliger, America's best cameraman. And we will second that motion.
Talked about Kevin Gross last year, lost 16 games with a herniated disc in his back. Said he was in the low 80s, now almost around 90 miles per hour. Better supported by his ball club, even though it's been tough. They've had a tough year in Philadelphia. But it must really be something for him to be here.
To left field, and Van Slyke is there. 2 gone with the bases empty in the 6th inning. So Winfield goes back to the dugout. Ripken comes up, and a reminder, this is the week of the British Open, and our coverage begins with live coverage noon Eastern time on Saturday. And then the U.S. Olympic trials continue. The box offs from Las Vegas, track and field from Indianapolis Saturday. The special time reflected at the bottom of the panel there here on ABC. 2 out, bases empty, and Ripken takes outside, ball 1. Two runs, 5 hits, and 1 error for the American League. 1 run, 3 hits, and no errors for the National League. 1-1. Boomer Esiason of the Cincinnati Bengals, who will be in action, believe it or not, 2 weeks from Saturday in the Hall of Fame game against the Rams. 1-2. Talking about overlapping seasons. The Bengals opening up camp this week. Boomer, of course, is a veteran, so he may come in a day or 2 late. And we'll see him in Canton on the 30th. Changeup. Gross throwing slower and slowest here. 2-2.
We also had a chance to see a terrific quarterback of the Cincinnati Bengals, Kenny Anderson, running into Kenny. As you see the jugs gun there. Didn't need one on that last pitch.
No, didn't register. Into the corner goes Strawberry to reach for it, and did he hold it? He went out of our view. Dropping foul. But down the line, let's take a look at our down the line shot here as he disappeared from our angle.
Of course, the umpire makes his decision. He's going to call Ripken out. That Strawberry would have caught that ball if the fan did not interfere.
Because the fan leaned onto the field.
Umpire's discretion, and that's the end of the top of the 6th.
Coming up next, Yogi at the Movies, brought to you by Stroh's and Stroh Life.
Yogi, why are you reviewing a beer commercial? It's not a movie.
Because it's good enough to be a movie. Watch.
Okay. Alex will now do his famous dog impersonations. Grab a Stroh Light, relax. Ready, Alex? All right, who's this?
Rin Tin Tin.
That great.
Look at this. Look at this. Tramp, my 3 sons.
Right. This is my favorite.